Hello automators, it's time to get started again, automating your life, giving you back some time in your life. What I have here today are a pair of Amazon Echoes. These are the second generation devices and I'm going to get them set up, and you can see my Echo sub sitting right here. We're going to make sure the 2.1 system works. I'm going to show you some things about skills and details about setting up these devices so that this becomes a bit of a full setup video for you with your Amazon Echo devices. First things first, we got to get these things opened up, unboxed, show you what's inside, and show you how simple this setup process is. So, as with all of Amazon's products, you're not getting a ton in the box. You don't need the boxes after about 3 seconds here. And what's inside is really just the speaker, a couple of manuals, and the power adapter, basically. I always get this question, so I'm just going to answer it here. Can this Amazon Echo connect to 100 to 240 volts? Yes, the adapter is capable of that right out of the box. So let's go ahead, get these opened up and plugged in. So just to give you a few more details here, I have things opened up. You can see the Amazon Echoes over here sitting, and I'll just run through a little bit about them, but a little bit more about these adapters because they are actually a pretty good adapter and ready for international markets. And what I mean by that is they are 50 or 60 hertz. So that's obviously going to work in places like China, where 50 hertz is the power, basically the power frequency there. The 100 to 240 volts is available, and they are 21 watt power transformers here. So they are capable of a lot, and obviously they're intended for powering this device up, and there's a little power port in the back over there that you're just going to plug this into, but ultimately they're ready for a lot more than just a North American market here. So some of the details about the device here, you can see just at the bottom, there's the Amazon logo. That's really all the logoing you're getting. You can see the bottom is pretty plain at this point. They're not doing a ton there. And similar to other of the newest generation devices, you do have 4 buttons on top to control, the plus minus being your volume, the mute microphone button there, and the action button here over on this side of the device. So that action button allows you to wake the voice assistant if you'd like. Now on top of that, you can also see here quite a number of microphone ports up at the top, and this is the newer design that Amazon has gone with in terms of their microphone arrangement for far field microphones. And the reason they've gone ahead and done that, as far as I'm concerned, it's working better to hear you when music is playing. You can kind of see on the speakers, most of the sound is coming out from the sides. It's not really coming out of the top. You don't really have any speakers out of the top. You did have that with some of the previous Echo, like the Echo Dot. You could always see it was a full plastic cover, and then out the top is where the sound came next to the microphone. So that would have been the design here. That's one of the reasons they've gone this way, and I think it makes a lot of sense, and it's made a difference with the newer generation of products as far as I'm concerned. Now on the back of these, there is a power port on this side, and then this is an aux port. And so not only can you connect the Amazon Echo to a Bluetooth speaker, but you can also direct connect it using that aux out to another speaker with a 3.5 millimeter, or if you want to make some conversions in terms of your audio output, you can do that as well, and you just have to change those settings in the application. So let's go ahead, get these plugged in, get them both set up and connected, and we'll talk a little bit about Wi-Fi as we go on from there.
Hello. Your Amazon Echo is ready for setup. Just follow the instructions in your Alexa app.
So both of the devices repeated that they were ready for setup and just follow the instructions in the application. That's the application you're going to need. I'm going to write the name on the screen so I don't say the wake word, but now that's the application you need, and if you've never set anything up in that application, your start process is going to be a little different than mine. Obviously, I have a few of these devices, but what I'm going to tell you is that if you've purchased this device through Amazon, it's already in the account that you purchased it under. So this is their new setup process. It makes it extremely easy to set up these devices if you just have a few things straight around your wireless connection. So on that note, in terms of wireless connections, A, G, B, or N, those are the wireless standards that you can use to connect to your Amazon Echo, the whole suite of products. So that allows you a router that is dual band, so 2.4 and or 5 gigahertz you can connect to with these devices. You can choose to be on the 5 gigahertz band for these devices if you'd like. And that will help with network congestion in a lot of cases. And that's one of the things I want to talk to you about. So what can go wrong with the setup here? Number one, you can put in the wrong password, and that's honestly the most likely thing that you're going to do here as you go through the Wi-Fi setup process. The second thing that could be is that network congestion, and talking about that is a much deeper subject. So I'm about to go into my application. There it is. I'm just tapping to go in here, and as soon as I get into that application, I'm going to go to the bottom right and tap on the devices here. And so this icon allows you to go and set up new home automation equipment all the time. Now up at the top, you can see the icon Echo and their voice assistant. I'm going to tap on that. And like I said, I'm already signed into my account. So again, if this was your first time in the application, you would need to sign into that Amazon account that you had purchased these under, and then they would be sitting here. What you can see is Brian's second Echo is sitting there offline, and Brian's Echo is sitting offline as well. So that's these two devices, because these are the first Echoes I've had in my home. You can see I have these Echo Pluses and Echo Dots, but I've never had these. Now, if they didn't actually show up in the application here, I'm going to go back to that devices screen and hit the plus up at the top. So this is the way that you would go ahead and set them up if they didn't show up there, okay? So I'm going to tap on Add Device, and now it's asking me what type of device I'm setting up. So obviously this is an Amazon Echo type of device, and I'm just going to choose the base Echo. Now it's going to go ahead and go through a bit of a process, and we're going to get these two paired to my Wi-Fi. Okay, so now we're in the screen here. It says begin the Echo setup and the Wi-Fi process. They want to make sure basically as I hit continue here that this orange light is sitting here. So if the orange light is not sitting here, well, you've got some problems. Now, if you don't see that orange light, there is a way to actually make sure that that orange light shows up. You can reset your device. So if you're sitting here looking at a different colored ring, you need to reset your Echo. That's what I'm going to tell you in general. So to do that, you actually hold the microphone button and the volume down button, and you hold that for about 20 seconds and you should see that orange ring appear. If not, you're going to need to go to Amazon site and start the support process here to get it on a full reset, and that's a little different here. So but that should do it, and once you have these orange lights, hit the continue button. Now they want your iPhone or my iPhone here to connect to the Echo. So what I'm going to do in order to do that, I'm doing this on an iPhone, but you could obviously do it on an Android device. You just need to go to the settings of your device, go into Wi-Fi, and what you're going to see are new wireless networks sitting there. So for me, I'm going to see two, and we're going to do one at a time here. So you can see Amazon A95 and Amazon DJR here. So I'm just going to pick the first one, Amazon A95. I don't know which of these two that is.
Echo. Go ahead and finish the setup in your Alexa app.
So now I do know, I heard actually out of here that out of that device that I was connected to my Echo, and I just go back into the setup screen here. Now you can see it says continue Echo setup, and I'm essentially connected to this, and now I just have to continue. So continuing on, now I have previously saved to Amazon my Wi-Fi network credentials, but because I'm doing this again here and I want to show you a little bit, I'm going to actually choose my other network here. I'm going to hit this one down at the bottom, and now I have to put in my password. So if I wanted to, I could have chosen that other network where I've already saved that to my account. It's saved in Amazon's account, and you can see where I'm choosing to save that password to Amazon for this one as well. Now I'm going to uncheck that so I can always show you guys how that works, but you could just check that box and then you never have to put in that Wi-Fi password again. So now it's preparing the Echo, and we're going to see that light basically change from the orange to our standard setup that we have, no ring initially, and then a ring, basically a blue whenever I use the wake word. So there we go. Now it's online. You can see that light has turned off over there, and I just have to hit continue. Now if I'd like, the choice here that's come up is, do I want to connect to a Bluetooth speaker? Do I want to use that aux port in the back, or do I want to use a built-in Echo speaker, that built-in Echo speaker? Now for me, these are plenty good. I don't feel like you need basically another speaker to connect to them, so I'm just going to use the built-in one. And the true setup process now is actually complete. I don't have to do anything more in terms of that device. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take about 5 minutes, get this one set up, and then we're going to come back and roll through the rest of the application, get it connected with my sub here, and show you guys all those special functions that you're looking for. All right, now a couple of things I forgot to mention a little earlier here. In terms of Wi-Fi troubleshooting, if your router is on any sort of security setting other than WPA or WPA2, you're not going to be able to get these connected. So that's a very important piece here. In terms of troubleshooting steps, here's what I would suggest you do. And actually, this is relatively similar to what Amazon tells you to do on their support site. So what you're going to want to do if this is not able to connect, number one, head into the application, look at that device and look at the wireless settings. And if the wireless settings are showing you basically a lock on them, your password is wrong. Go ahead, change that. Next up, if your password has worked or you know you're using your right password, then what you're going to want to do is basically restart your router to allow these to try and connect. And I'll tell you, the reason I think Amazon tells you to do that is based on their last troubleshooting step as well. Now, what they tell you to do there is basically disconnect some old devices. And obviously this isn't going to work for a ton of us, but if you do have a lot of network congestion at that 2.4 gigahertz, which is primary for this to try and connect, if you do have a lot of devices there, you've got a lot of devices around this or around the router itself, then you might run into just network congestion or traffic basically on your router and making it impossible for these to connect. So if you're also finding after this that your device is getting disconnected quite often, you might want to switch it to the 5 gigahertz on your router if you have that option, or yes, switch some other devices, or in the end, switch your router. So those are the basic troubleshooting steps that you can go through here. There's not a lot else to give you around this, that it's a pretty structured wireless setup. Now from this point forward, I do have inside of the Echo and the voice assistant screen here, I have my two devices. You can see that little offline is removed. So I'm just going to go into the first device, which is my Echo. I can edit the name up at the top. I can adjust Bluetooth connection devices. So if I'd like, I can connect my iPhone to this device and go ahead and pair it basically and make it play music from my device. So for those of you looking how to get Apple Music connected before there's the partnership here between Apple and Amazon, then you can use this pairing functionality to go ahead and play music across to an Echo. Now, I'm going to show you how to do that here very briefly, and then we're going to get some music playing on the device. All right, so pairing a device is actually really simple. I'm going to hit pair a new device, and I do have my Bluetooth on here on my phone. So I want to make sure that it is in pairing mode. So I'm going to jump over to the settings in my iPhone here, go to the Bluetooth, and now I'm in pairing mode, and I can actually see that device because I've tapped pair. I can see that Echo A95, and I can go ahead and tap on that device. So as I tap on it here, it's connected over there, and now I've paired my iPhone to this speaker. It's that simple. There shouldn't be any more to the process than that. So now that I've paired, I'm going to go ahead and play some music, and I'm actually going to play it from Google Play Music because that would kind of be the service that I think a lot of people wouldn't be ready for basically here. So I'm going to turn up the volume a little bit on my Echo and hit play. Now I do have two control methods at this point. I can actually control it on the screen here if I'd like on my iPhone or an Android device, and then I can also control it there. So you're going to notice here as I hit play, it is a much higher volume. So there you go, that's it to Bluetooth. If I want to disconnect, I can either simply turn off the Bluetooth on my device, or I can hit this disconnect button. So I can turn off the Bluetooth on my iPhone, or I can even ask the voice assistant here to disconnect from Bluetooth. So disconnect from Bluetooth. So there you go, that's it. Now you can see this one turned on and this one chose to respond. I was kind of lucky there, to be honest. You're going to have to think about that through if you want specific tasks to be done with these devices. All right, now that we've got the Bluetooth set up here, I'm going to talk a little bit more about the other settings in the device itself. So you can see I can make adjustments to the volume there. I can also change the Wi-Fi network. So if you have a lock here on this screen, this is what I'm talking about. You need to go and change your password. Now, next up, there's the stereo pair capability. I have to wait for a little bit of an update here. So we're going to come back for basically the stereo pairing and the creation of a 2.1 system. So bear with me, we're going to get to that. The Echo remote is here as well. So if you have one of those, you can go ahead and connect that to these and use that as a secondary speaking device, which works also with the Fire TV sticks or the Fire TV Cube. The gadgets here, those devices are like the Echo buttons, and you could go ahead and pair those. I don't have any of those here today, but that's how you start that process. Now, sounds is a little more in depth here, so let's go through it. You can see that you can again adjust the alarm timer and notification level here. Your alarm, you have a ton to pick through in terms of different sounds. You can play each one and listen to them, and that's just your alarm sound. In terms of a notification, right now there's not a lot of options. It's basically what they give you or nothing at all. So I would just suggest you leave that for now. In the future, we're probably going to see some more options there. Now, incoming call ringers. So this is if people drop into your Echo device, you're going to want probably a ringer on that device, just like any phone. And do you want to hear a start request and an end of request sound? So you can actually configure these, and I'll go ahead and turn these on so you can hear that differential. When you request a device, I'll mute this one. Cancel. You can see there was a start sound and an end sound, and that helps you not look at the device and know that it's heard you. So let's just see the comparison over on this speaker here. See no sound there. Cancel. So no sound there. You can go ahead and you can configure those if you'd like. Now moving back again, there's a do not disturb mode, so we can go into that, and all you would get instead of, drop-in calls and other notifications, all you would get are alarms and timers. So those are things that you've requested specifically for your voice assistant to do here, and you can turn on that mode and turn it off. Turn on do not disturb mode.
I won't disturb you.
So there you go. I just turned on that mode. You could see it. There was a little purple ring that kind of flashed there at the end. And of course, if I'd like, I can undo that. So turn off do not disturb mode.
Do not disturb is now off.
So this is an independent per speaker capability, so you can adjust that setting per device. Now again, back to the settings, communication. So this is where you configure drop-in and the ability for people to call you basically through your Echo account or through your account here that's configured in the application here. Now I'll show you a little more detail in a bit, but essentially if you want to allow people to drop in, again, you can choose permitted contacts only, so you can really limit this if you'd really like. And you can also limit it just to your people in your house if you'd like, or you can say nobody. Moving down, you can set a location. You can tell them exactly your street address which helps with navigation. You can also tell them your time zone, which wake word you want to use, so you can actually change there's a couple of options there. Follow-up mode is probably something that most people are going to want. You're probably going to want to turn that back on. So what that does is that keeps the device listening whenever you've turned it on, asked a question, or set a command. It will listen again for a next command, and you're able to follow up on kind of what you previously talked about. You can also obviously go ahead, change your language. You can change the units that you're using. You can see I'm here in Canada. Clearly, I'm going to use kilometers and Celsius in terms of temperature there. And then if you'd like, you can deregister that unit from your account. So if you're selling it, that's where you come, you deregister it from your account, and it basically restarts the device at some level. Someone will have to reset, and I would suggest that you reset your Echo fully before you go selling it as well. So a few things to continue on now. We're gonna get more into the application, less into device specific things, okay? So I'm in the home page here, and you can see basically since I've given my account settings, everything, I've told Amazon where I live, and they've gone ahead and gotten basically the base details for weather for me. It's sitting there. You can see my list, my shopping list, my to-do list. You can create other lists if you'd like, and you can do that all through voice control with your Echo device. The different weather skills are here on the front page for me because they want me to basically go and discover, and essentially skills can be installed, and I'll show you a little bit about that after this. So that's kind of the home page. That's about as far as I want to go there for now. Now moving over to communications, and this is a much more detailed conversation. You can call contacts. So these are all my contacts in my phone initially, and you can also add contacts as you go with Amazon accounts. Now you can also message people, and this is where basically it will go out and find people who have an Amazon account that are in your contacts. So if your contact has an email address with that Amazon account and they have an Echo device, it's going to go ahead and find that if you've given this application permission to look through your contacts. Now, the last thing to talk about in terms of communication here, the drop-in capability. When you tap on that, you can actually drop in on any of these devices. So this is this device trying to go out and communicate with any of these Echo devices. So I'm going to tap on my second Echo, which is this device here, and we're going to have it pick up basically. So I'm essentially making a phone call from this device to my Echo. So now I did have to go ahead and mute the microphone on this device because it did start to pick up sound here. Now, obviously, you can go and you can call different people. You can drop in all over your home, and you can use one device to drop in on the other device. Drop in on Brian's Echo. So you can see both of these devices now are communicating, and I can actually speak to them. I turned down the volume just so we wouldn't have an echo. That was a joke. Just so we wouldn't have an echo here in the room. So I'm going to turn on one and you'll be able to basically hear me through the other speaker. So echo. So there you go, that's the drop-in feature. Now, the first time you come into this, you're going to have to enable, first time you come into this page rather, you're going to have to enable that feature and give Amazon the ability to run through that. So that's about all I want to show you there in the application. There's another segment here called Music and Books, and I've already added some of the services here, but I'm going to show you as you scroll down, there's lots of things that Amazon wants you to try. And all of your Kindle library, so again, this is attached to your Amazon account, they've all shown up here, and you can go ahead and request books to be read essentially once they're capable of that in the Kindle library. Now, I'm not going to show you that, but essentially it's as easy as tapping and hitting play on, and it will start playing on the device. So now the next thing is you want to have some music services. So this is an easy way to get there. You can see I just hit explore, and you can see the music services that are already connected. If you don't have them connected, you simply need to tap on it and enter your credentials and go ahead, and from there you're able to request music to be played on that service. And you can also, you can see here, choose the default music service. So I can either choose Amazon Music or Spotify here in Canada. And if I want to also play a radio station, I can do that as well. So let's go ahead and see that. Play Foo Fighters.
Shuffling songs by Foo Fighters on Amazon Music.
Next song. Now you can see a little interface showing up here in my application for being able to move as well. Obviously, I can navigate using voice. I can start and stop. I can change genres. I can change artists. I can change playlists if I have them set up in the Amazon Music application or Spotify as well. You get all kinds of capabilities here with the application and with your voice. So moving on, there's a few more things in the application to show you, and then we'll talk a little bit about home automation, and ultimately we have to get these speakers paired and working with this Amazon Echo sub. So in the application, again, there's the music and books. You can head straight back there. Here's the list. So lists, this is where you can create another list, or you can go into your shopping list and make adjustments. So I can add items here, or I can simply speak to the voice assistant and add a list, an item to a list here. Here's my to-do list. Again, I can add through the application, or I can go ahead and add through the Echo. Now, let's go ahead and do a couple of those. Add eggs to my shopping list.
Eggs added to your shopping list.
Make an Echo setup video.
I've put make an Echo setup video on your to-do list.
So you'll notice I didn't even have to say to my to-do list there. Now, if you have more lists, it gets a little more complicated. You have to remember those other lists that you have. But for example, you could create a gift list. So create a gift list.
Create a list called gift, right?
Yes.
I've created gift list. What should I add to it?
Something nice for my mom.
I've added nice for my mom to your gift list. Anything else?
Nope.
Okay.
So you could see there, I actually created a list, And now I can go ahead and it asks me right away, do I want to use that list and add something to it? Now I added something silly to it, but ultimately there's something in there and now I can manage that list. What's on my gift list?
You have one item on your gift list. Nice for my mom.
Delete nice for my mom from my gift list.
I've checked off nice for my mom from gift.
So there you go. Now, not only have I created that list, put something on it, but I also deleted it when I had dealt with it essentially. So you can see the list capability here is very, very powerful, and it's something that I would say a lot of people should really start to use because it can help a lot in your life. Now, moving on, there's the reminders and alarms section of the application here. And again, this is something that Amazon is very far ahead of the competition. So say Google on these sorts of functions. So adding a reminder, again, voice and capability inside the application. Same thing with alarms and timers, and you're going to receive notifications based on how you set these up. So let's start with a reminder. You can see you can set a date and a time, and you can set the device that it's on and whether or not you want to repeat multiple times. So if there's something you have to do every week, you can go ahead and repeat that task or that reminder for yourself. So it becomes a task list there. Now, alarms as well, you can go ahead and you can set up an alarm here, and you can have custom sounds play with each of your alarms. I'm not going to show you how to do each of these things. The timers are as simple as saying set a timer for X minutes, and it will do that. And you can set multiple timers and have them execute, and you can also request information from your voice assistant on those timers. Set a reminder once per week.
What's the reminder for?
Take out the garbage.
When should I remind you?
Tuesday at 7 a.m.
Okay, I'll remind you Tuesday at 7 a.m.
So now that I've gone ahead, I've created that reminder. Let me show you a little nuance here about having multiple speakers in your home. So right here, I did not create that reminder, but right here I did. So on this device, I created the reminder. Now, what reminders do I have?
There are no reminders scheduled.
Okay. Okay, now if I switch over to this device, what reminders do I have?
Here is your next reminder. Take out the garbage on Tuesday at 7.
So you can see there was a reminder there on this device. This is where I set the reminder. There is no reminder here. So you have to keep that in mind when setting reminders. Now, on the flip side, let's talk about alarms and timers. Again, they're device dependent, and you can just go ahead and set them, and you can set multiple timers and then talk about them with your Echo device. So let's move on here to other parts of the application. So contacts and then routines. Now, contacts, that was kind of part and parcel to what we talked about earlier with the drop-in capabilities. The routines, this is a really detailed conversation, and I think I'm going to talk about that in a separate video, a really detailed setup routines video. But what I'll give you here is that you can create a new routine, and you can start that on a certain day or based on another device in your home, or you can set a routine based on a voice command. So you can simply say run X routine and it will run that routine, or you can wait for a certain date and time. You can set it weekly, you can set it however you'd like, or you can trigger it on, say, a motion sensor in another system that you've connected to this. You can trigger a routine. From there, you can add all kinds of actions. I don't want to go through again all of them, but you can have your voice assistant say a ton. You can trigger a calendar action. So when you integrate calendars here with the application, you can go ahead and trigger some actions there. There's changing of device settings and messaging, music, news, and then there's the smart home stuff that I think a lot of people will use here. So if you wanted to change a light color based on another trigger from another system, you can go ahead and bridge the gap here with your Echo. Now, the traffic and weather, those are obviously good things to kind of get early in the morning. One of the last things I want to talk about here today are the skills and games, and this is a massive app store. It's different per country, so keep that in mind. There's only going to be certain ones in your country, but what you can do here is you can essentially search, you can move by category, and you can pick different applications to essentially install on your suite of Echo devices. Now, you know, it goes everywhere from the smart home capabilities to news to weather to all those capabilities. Stuff for kids. There's tons of stuff for kids now. And of course, you're going to be able to go and get financial information. There's even some banking applications, especially in the US nowadays. So essentially, all you need to do is search for what you're wanting to look for. So, you know, that's the best way I find to navigate it at this point because it is so massive. So let's go ahead and look up stocks here. Now, what you get right away, you can see Bloomberg. That's obviously a pretty big application. And then there's just a ton of other stock prices and different things here. So installing Bloomberg is as simple as hitting enable here in the screen. And now it's installed on there. And you just go ahead. This application says go ahead and just say open Bloomberg. And you could play the live TV. You can see. And then you can ask about specific stocks. And I think that's mostly what people are looking for when they're looking up an application like this. So now I've gone ahead, I've installed this, so let's go ahead and try it. Open Bloomberg.
Welcome to Bloomberg. You can hear Bloomberg Market Minute or ask what can I say for more options.
How is Amazon doing?
The closing price for Amazon.com Incorporated is $1,690.17, up by 16.6 or 0.99%. What else can I help you with?
Nothing. So you can see I asked for a stock price and I got a ton of information there. Actually, I even got their rating in terms of whether it's a buy or a sell. I got a lot of information there very quickly, and I did that almost in real time, guys. I mean, I paused for a second to make sure that if it didn't work that I could go ahead and do it again and not have to say everything before. But essentially, I did that in real time. So that's pretty powerful stuff when you think about how fast I was able to get something installed and working and get information out of it. So that's the skills store, and I'm not going to go through all the different skills. Obviously, there's millions out there at this point, and that's about all I want to tell you there. Now, the activity section and the help and feedback, I think those are self-explanatory, but there is a account settings portion of this, and this is where you can go ahead and modify your account that you're using with Amazon and with these devices. You can obviously go back into the device settings. There's notifications, communications, music, TV, and video. So these are all of the different services that are available, so you can go ahead and connect those other services. Your flash briefing is actually the different news content that you've added through skills. When you ask for your flash briefing, or you can just ask for the news, this is what you're going to get. So you can just hit plus and then it's going to roll through that next part. So if there was another news service I wanted to add, I could go ahead, hit plus, install that skill like I just showed you, and then it could be the first or the second, and you can rearrange which ones you want there. So the flash briefing, very powerful for getting news. Now moving down again, we have traffic, we have sports, we have the calendar. So you can put in your home address, your work address. If you had stops on the way, you can go ahead and add those. If there was something you went to every day, like drop off your kids at school, you can go ahead and make those adjustments. And then when you ask about the traffic, you're going to get that for that route. So in terms of sports, you can go ahead and you can add different teams here. You can see I've added 2 hockey teams. You can add from whatever sports organization you want to follow here. You simply click the plus and now you just start typing in basically what your team name is and it will bring up whatever it can. That doesn't mean every league in the world is sitting there, but there's a lot already. So when you ask for a sports update, you're going to get specific information about your team. Now, the calendar is one of the most powerful things as well. You can link different accounts. So you can see my Google account is linked there, and I could use Microsoft and I can use Apple. At one point I had Apple connected here, but I've changed the password. I've never redone that because I have other synchronizing capability basically in the background. But you can basically go into that Google account. You can take the calendar out of it, and if I wanted, I could take other parts or other calendars out as well and use those and pull in contacts if I'd like. Now, Microsoft's kind of the same deal here. If I wanted to link my account, I could. And the same thing with Apple. I can link my account and therefore make adjustments. So now one thing on the screen here, you can see that I've chosen to use the Google account as the account that when I add events, that's where those new events are going to. You can only choose one at this time to add new events to. Now, in terms of lists, I showed you the list functionality earlier, but there's an even deeper level of integration here. So when you tap on lists in the settings, you can actually choose any of these. And again, yours could be a little bit different based on what country you're in. But if I wanted to use a Todoist list, or I wanted to use that to manage my lists, I could go ahead and hit that plus, start the integration process, and then that's what I've done. I've integrated that application that I already use with Amazon's list capability. And this is where I say super powerful stuff that Amazon has gone ahead and done for you. Okay, so just pretend this isn't going on over here. I think my device is actually running through the last part of an update, so bear with that. But ultimately, I'm back in the devices screen here on inside of my app, and I'm not going to go through everything with you guys on this because really this needs its own set of videos for connecting different smart home products, doing different things. But what I am going to show you is some of the basic functionality that you can do within the application. So up at the very top of this, you can see the different segments that they have already created for me: lights, plugs, switches, scenes, and the Echo devices themselves. And then there's an all devices section. So I'm just going to tap into that. And I have everything in here from lights to speakers to Sonos speakers, for example, to even Wemo smart plugs, different things like that, and all the sensors from Samsung smart things and all these connected services that I have there. I have cameras and things like that. So if I had to add a device, it's as simple as hitting the plus at the top, and you go ahead and you add a device. Now, we've already seen this screen at the very start of this video, but if you haven't, I could add another Echo device, an Echo Dot, an Echo Plus, an Echo Sub, whatever you have, I can add them right there. The light or the plug or the switch or a hub, a camera, thermostat, all these different things I can add through here. So the simplest one is the light, and now you're just choosing basically what brand of light. And if you can't find that, there's an other button. And if you have other trouble, there's the skills portion of the application where you can go and find out if your maker has a skill in your country for you to go ahead and install and then connect to those bulbs or those lights in this case. So that's it for that part of the process, really. The other thing you can do with that add button is add a group of devices. So basically I would say that you're going to set up groups based on rooms you're in or specific functionality that you want to have trigger. So if you wanted to have trigger, say a movie time scene, you could create a movie group and you just turn them on or off as you go. But let's just say I have a kitchen group I want to create, and I put an echo in there, and then I pick a couple of lights and, you know, another speaker or something and a smart plug, and I hit save. And what I've done is I've created a group that I have little controls for here. You can just see an on or off button. And if I tap on that, I can turn on those products. Now, that's essentially the lights that we're talking about now, not all the speakers. So now that's the group's functionality, and you can see how it's kind of giving you a little dashboard here to work from within the application, which is nice when you consider kind of moving to an Echo Show or something like that. Now, the other things you can do, and you can see them down at the bottom, I already have a few, multi-room music speakers. So this capability, it allows you to add a whole name and then set which speakers you want to include in this multi-room audio capability. I already have some set up, so when I go to everywhere, I can edit the name, I can choose the different devices that come into here, and then I'm able to basically put them in a multi-room audio group. All right, so I had to wait the better part of a day actually here. Basically, I had to wait over the evening, and now both of these have been updated. They just update on their own, just so you know. Now, we're able to go and create this 2.1 speaker system, and then I'll demo it a little bit for you here. So I'm going to tap the plus in my application and hit add stereo pair. Now I'm creating a speaker set, and what's important to note is that your two speakers have to be the same model essentially. So the echoes here, I can choose those both, and you can see that I cannot choose my Echo Dot 3, which is this device here, or my Echo Plus 2, which is this device here. I cannot choose those, nor can I choose some of my older devices. I do have a original Echo Plus here, but I can choose the sub as well, and now I'm hitting next. So what I want to do is set a left or right channel for each echo. Now I have to know which one is each echo. This is the echo, the first one, so that's my left, and now it's just setting them up. So it synchronizes the volume level. It's just creating that synchronization basically between the three speakers. And the first thing I'll tell you is Bluetooth does not work for a 2.1 or a 1.1. It really doesn't matter. You cannot use the Echo sub and play Bluetooth at the same time. So keep that in mind here. What you can do is use applications like Spotify or Amazon Music, and you can then go from those applications into or play into this 2.1 system. The other thing you can do as well is just request music to start. Now that this 2.1 speaker system is set up, you can just request music to be played. So one thing to note, if I did make a mistake here, I could choose my Echo and set it as the right channel here. So you can see I could pick either of these devices and set which channel they are. Again, if I got that wrong in the initial setup process, so really doesn't matter. I can also unpair the speaker system and go ahead and recreate it with a different set of speakers. If I go and I get a second Echo Plus here, I probably would do that. It's a slightly better speaker here. So there you have it. That's it. Now let's go ahead and get some music playing and use this system. All right, so I'm in Amazon Music here. That's the application I'm using today. Again, you know, you can just request your favorite music service here and it will use that stereo pair once you're requesting on one of these devices. All right, so inside the application, any song you start playing, what you'll see down in the bottom right is an icon there that is basically your casting icon. So this is Amazon Music, and they give you this ability here. I'm currently connected to AirPlay actually on my PC because I'm recording the device screen here on my PC. I have to disconnect that, but then I can go ahead and I can choose any speaker here. So I'm going to go ahead, hit disconnect. Now that I've disconnected from AirPlay, I can go ahead and choose any of my speakers. So I'm going to choose my second Echo, which is this device here. Okay, simple enough. Now let's go ahead and choose the other device here, the other Echo. You can see I have to disconnect each time from what I want to play. So here I'm choosing my Echo speaker, which I'm calling my left channel here. Again, we're disconnected, so let's go back in and choose the stereo pair here, and I think you're going to notice the difference right away. I might have to let the song play a little longer this time.
I'm waking up to ash and dust. I wipe my brow and I sweat my rust.
So a couple things to note there. You notice when I changed the volume on one of these devices, it changed on the other. So it was keeping them in sync here as I was playing on the stereo pair. It also is doing that after I've gone ahead and adjusted or basically disconnected from that stereo pair. I'm not actually playing to it. They're still paired as a speaker set. So now you have a 2.1 system here. As I said, you can go ahead and request music. So let's go ahead and do that. Play Radioactive by Imagine Dragons.
Here's Radioactive by Imagine Dragons on Amazon Music.
Okay, so you could see by default when I request it to play music on any of these speakers, what's happening is I don't need to say play it on these speakers. They are automatically playing in the stereo pairing configuration with the sub involved. And basically now that they're all paired, there's no way to really pull them apart. I've tried voice, saying just play it on one of these devices. That doesn't work. So you're going to get that configuration from this point out until you go back into the application, manage it, and go ahead and get rid of that. So that's what I have for you guys today. I hope this has helped you get your Echo fully set up. If there's any other questions that you have, go ahead, leave them in the comments below. I try and answer all the questions as best as I can, guys. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.